Welcome to The Localist, a conversation with local makers and independent entrepreneurs. I'm your host, author of the Localist book and former small business owner, Carrie Rollwagen. Today we're talking with Nguyen of House 11. So House 11 is a coffee bar, it's a cocktail bar, and a venue in Woodlawn off Route 11. That's where the name comes from, House 11. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the podcast. So Kim owns House 11 with her husband, Caleb. And Caleb started So Kim owns House 11 with her husband, Caleb. And they were builders before they owned this cafe, bar, event spot. They actually redid a few houses in Woodlawn. One of them they moved into. They actually started redoing this house that turned into House 11, thinking they were going to use it as their office, but then they found kind of a better office a couple doors down and used that instead. And so this started as another remodel project for them, but they'd always kind of dreamed of doing a community space. And the more they worked on this house, the more potential they saw there. So they decided they wanted to open it up and welcome the whole community. We're catching House 11 at the beginning of their journey as business owners, or at least as this kind of business owners. They opened a couple of months ago, and they started with the coffee program. They're kind of venturing into events, and we talk about, as we're recording, they hadn't started the cocktail bar yet, but as you're listening, they probably have. So I think that's really cool to talk to business owners at the beginning of their business journey and to hear some of those dreams that have become a reality, some dreams that have kind of already been pivoted a little bit, and to be able to see potential for the future as well. I really enjoyed this conversation. We actually have a lot in common. We both started coffee shops because I used to own Church Street Coffee and Books. She has a background in construction. My family has a background in construction, and that was actually my first job was in construction. And also, we don't talk about this on the podcast, but we found out after that she used to train jiu-jitsu with my husband and his business partner, DJ, who owned jiu-jitsu. So that was a really fun fact as well. So I loved this conversation, and I hope you do too. How did you find the space? And then we'll kind of go from there. Is that good?
Yeah, that's a funny story.
Okay.
So Caleb and I work in Woodlawn, and we've lived in Woodlawn. We don't live there right now. We moved back to Crestwood, but we did live there from 2019 to 2022.
Mm-hmm.
But the year before, we spent a whole year after working on weekends fixing and restoring the first house we ever touched in Woodlawn and moved into it in 2019, right before the pandemic.
So was the idea that was going to be your house? That was the idea from the beginning, or were you thinking you might sell it? Or?
Well, the idea was that we would move into it and live there temporarily for a few years, and
mm-hmm.
then it be an investment property.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that time, that was our first project together. Caleb had his business, Taylor Remodeling and Building Solutions, mouthful.
Yeah.
But he was doing client work, and when the pandemic hit, we kind of lived together, and we're trying to figure out how do we invest in our future,
mm-hmm.
and let's find a house that we can move in together and take the next step in our relationship. And we decided I think we got obsessed with the podcast called Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of this,
mm-mm.
but it's kind of I don't know, tricks people into getting into real estate. So they make it sound really easy.
Yeah.
So we listened to Bigger Pockets for, I don't know, 4 years. And
yeah.
then we're like, okay, let's buy this house. And one of our friends actually invested in us and purchased the property. I mean, it was the cost of a car.
Yeah.
And he was like, I trust you guys can do this.
Yeah.
And I had some equity in my house, and we fixed up the house and then moved into it, and then pandemic hit. Well, when the pandemic hit, Caleb was like, I don't want to do clients as much anymore, and we decided to continue doing projects. So we built our real estate company called Blue House Properties, mm-hmm. which that house that we, the first house we did was we painted it blue.
Okay, yeah.
So that's
Right,
that's
yeah.
the story. Fast forward, I don't know how many years. So my math doesn't work. I haven't been sleeping very well. Baby.
Yeah.
Teething. So.
Well, I never can remember the years of things anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Are we old now?
Yeah,
like,
some people can do that. I'm like, sometime in the past, like that's all I
it's
have.
like 8 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
7, 8 years. Now we're really invested in Woodlawn. We've met a ton of people. We've made a lot of friends. We've lived there. We've established our businesses there. So we kind of fell in love, and I don't know if you know anyone from Woodlawn, but it's like, it's almost a cult. Like, it's like people love, it's really special.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, it's really hard to describe, but really big sense of community. I've lived a lot of places in Birmingham, like Southside, Glen Iris. We both went to UAB.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from Hoover High School. He graduated from Auburn High School, and you know we've lived all over Birmingham, and you know it's kind of crazy how the community sucks you in, and you see so much potential and opportunity for growth and this like underground culture that is hard to see or be exposed to unless you're kind of just bopping around.
Yeah.
And in the area.
Well, even, and this is fast forwarding to when you have the space, but like I was at House 11 on Monday, and it was like, I was like, wow, this is like the place to like have your Monday meeting if you're in Woodlawn. Because like all the community organizations I know, like we're having meetings there, and there were like business owners who have like Woodlawn businesses who are there. So I do feel like it seems to be like, you know, supporting the area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that was the goal of the project, but that's not why we bought the house.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I was like skipped a lot. So back to like, you have your first, you work on this together, and you have your first house. Yeah.
So we became invested in the community. We, what does that mean? That means we fixed a bunch of houses that were not great, and we found people to move in and would be a part of the community and try to suck other people in. Yeah. But we did that for a long time, and even as Crestwood residents, I mean, we basically moved from Crestwood South to Woodlawn, which was 1 mile on almost the same street.
Yeah.
And we moved back because we picked up some pandemic puppies and grew out of our house.
Yeah.
But all that to say, we originally bought House 11, which is not, it's a house on Highway 11, which is also First Avenue North. But we bought it to be our office for a real estate and construction company. We found it because, one, there's a prominent real estate investor that we started talking to who was in the Avondale wave, and he was like, hey, have you seen this house over here? You guys should look at it. And we're like, no, we can't afford anything.
Yeah.
We can't afford that.
Yeah.
And then I think we were actually visiting a friend in Perdido, my old boss, actually.
Yeah.
And kind of looked around. I was like, this is a lot more reasonable than we thought, and I think this is a good opportunity. We're gonna be stressed out if we do it, but it'll be a good opportunity. And then we did it, and we got stressed out.
Yeah.
Not because of that, but mainly because we're like, oh, that building 2 doors down was actually more suitable for our business at the time.
Okay.
And we were like, well, what do we do with this thing? This was our first sort of introduction to commercial real estate, which we're not commercial real estate people.
Yeah.
I guess we are now, but
yeah. Well, that's it. My sister's an interior designer. She's not from here, and she's just seen the Instagram, and she was like, "How are they zoned commercial?" And I was like, "I'm pretty sure that area, that street, is zoned commercial. Like, when you see just the house, you think that must be in a neighborhood, but it's not."
Yeah, back in the day, it was. I don't know when they zoned it commercial, but it was zoned commercial before we got it.
Yeah,
and it was. I don't even know what it was. There's rumors, but there were other businesses there before. When we got it, it was vacant for a few years.
Okay.
So, sidetrack. But, you know, we essentially had our hands full. We're like, uh-oh, we overcommitted. And what do we do? And, you know, we're really good at finding people and connecting folks, and that's what we do with our rentals. But this was, we've always wanted to do something that's going to drive community development and economic development and be a part of something that creates a culture that you know, inspires people and motivates people and can connect people. So we were like, well, remember the Woodlawn Cycle Cafe?
Yeah.
We lived like 50 yards from there, and we loved it.
Yeah.
And it brought people from all over the place to Woodlawn.
I still miss the like toasty.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Like the $14 biscuits.
Yeah.
Like, I can't not eat these.
I know. Well, now every biscuit's $14.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but this was like almost a decade ago.
When it was unusual, yeah.
But it was worth it. And even, you know, they were in the back on the hot plate.
Yeah.
But that was one of the inspirations because, you know, we would just roll up in there with, like, dust on our faces from doing construction and all of these things. And I don't know. Most people don't know, but we typically do the work ourselves on our projects, which means we're crazy. If you do more than one, usually you're like, you've learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, so we thought it would be a good idea to... One, I mean, I will give a little backstory. We tried Airbnbs, and people just want to party in your Airbnb, and you're like, this isn't worth the anything. This isn't worth the energy and the vandalism or the parties or whatever. Like, you're not making money. You have to clean. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And we decided to get out of that, and we're like, well, event spaces seem like a good way to make some money, and we're like, okay, well, let's just do an event space instead of an office.
Then it's like you write the rules for an event space as if somebody's going to have a party. Like the rules for the Airbnb are assuming you're not going to,
But we were also like, okay, that was our idea to like pay the bills there. And outside of that, we were still like, we want to do something big that's going to elevate the standard in terms of just having a really cozy neighborhood spot that feels different and feels refreshing, feels like a place you can go relax. Also exposes people to a side of town where they might not feel comfortable. And we all like coffee, and we're like, we just need to do a coffee spot because Woodlawn Cycle did that for Woodlawn back in the day. And I don't know if you know, but you know, Tim from Punch Love was there. Jimmy from June was there. Yeah. The Pocus guys, I think, for sure, Michael and Nathan.
Yeah,
worked
I think
there.
Michael would work there at least, and Nathan was probably just around. But
so they're all, you know, grew into their own coffee shops, and you know, we were just consumers. We were just like, we just like the coffee, and hang. And we're not. I wouldn't even qualify us as real coffee snobs at all. Yeah. Like, what's funny is I was trying to find a partner. Like, I asked all these guys. I was like, come help me do coffee. I don't really want to do it. Yeah. I'm stressed out. Yeah. And, they're like, we'll just help you. It's fine. We've got too much on our plate. We're doing other things. You know, which is understandable. And
really, they're all doing stuff. I think for everything, Tim is like, no thanks, I'm good. And Jimmy, I feel like, is like so nice, but always like doing his own thing. And then Nathan and Michael are like expanding into like, I don't know, we're going to do like, I feel like they're doing stuff with like electric vehicles and all this like different stuff. So yeah, they all have their, I think we don't have an episode with Tim, but we have, we'll link to them in the show notes, but we've had Jimmy on and Nathan on.
So Nathan, fun fact, his electric vehicle stuff, that's actually like kind of towards my day job, my real job.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So he and I talk about that stuff too. But one partner that we don't hear a lot about that I think is super underrated is Red Bike Coffee as well, who's located in Crestwood, and their roaster facility is in Irondale. So we actually carry all three of them because those guys were the ones that helped us get started. Yeah. And
Red Bike has been going for a long time and is like pretty respected, but yeah, it's not as much like doesn't get as much like press or whatever.
Yeah,
like.
They were like old school, like word of mouth, like
Yeah.
let the coffee speak for itself.
Yeah.
And Danny's a great guy. But anyway, what was pretty funny is they all gave us their version of a boot camp, and now we're like, are we coffee snobs now? And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know if I'm sophisticated enough to have.
No, I know what you mean. I feel like, so I used to own Church Street Coffee and Books, and before that, we just like had a Starbucks, but like we hired people who, at the time, it was Primavera, and then it became like Octane and like different stuff, but like they taught us like how to make coffee with a real espresso machine, instead of pushing buttons. And I'm still like, I think it did help me to like really enjoy good coffee, but I'll still drink regular coffee too.
Yeah.
I'm like that kind of snob. Like I'm not I wouldn't fit with the snobs, but I do enjoy like a really good cup of coffee, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not like, this is really bad coffee.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a gas station or even gas station. I'm like, I need caffeine. Like I'm more of a...
That's the thing. It's like there's coffee that's useful and there's coffee that's good. It doesn't... Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't know if I can go back to making my own drip.
Yeah.
$10 coffee maker, which is awful. But, all that to say, we had a ton of help from all the folks in town, and became the reason now we offer all 3 espressos at once, which I think is unintentionally unique.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. So how do you do, because that I was wondering about that when I heard that. I was like, wow, that's a lot of like beans to keep on hand. That's a lot of stuff. So is it more like you just offer it when somebody orders it? Do you ask, or is it kind of if they ask, which, I mean, does that make sense? Or do you do like more one a day if you don't?
So, well, it's funny. So we bought a grinder, and then we got a grinder from another coffee partner, actually 2 coffee partners. So we just have 3 now. Yeah. And each basically have their own.
Okay, yeah.
So we have 3 grinders at all times with each brand.
Yeah.
And every morning we dial them in.
Yeah.
And, our baristas are really good at practicing how to do that.
Yeah. That is not a fun part of the job.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, the temperature changes and you're like, oh, it's a different temperature this afternoon, so I have to do this again.
Yeah. My sister is probably the expert now. She's, like, always there, so.
Yeah. I feel like I wouldn't do this. This would be too much to keep up with, but there should be, like, a running total every day of, like, who's winning. Like.
Oh, yeah, I know. One of our baristas was like, hey, we should get this, like, I forgot what he called it, but like a shot notebook or something.
Yeah.
We can just use a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have money for that. That's not in our budget
yet. I feel like that's such a business owner thing. It's just like, I mean, we're good. Like,
yeah, it is. When we grow up. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to figure out how to keep tabs on the competition and it should probably be a sport, like dialing in the grinder.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is good that we're skipping around, but so like you had the house, it was going to be your office, then you did the other office. Did you also have to renovate? So the space that was better for your office, is that where your office is now? Did that work out?
Yeah, it is. We basically grew this construction company, and we're planning this project, House 11. Before it was House 11, it was called 5229, because that's the address.
Yeah.
Like 5 spelled out, 22 as a number, and then 9 spelled out. So we called it 5229, and we usually just do this with our properties, right? It's just, that's the address.
Yeah.
That's the name.
Yeah.
So we moved in over there. We didn't do any. I mean, we did. We painted it.
Yeah.
It used to be called Hubcap Annie's.
Okay.
And we just had our office there instead of.
So wait, is House 11, is your office where Hubcap Annie's was? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Which is a whole nother thing. But we were running a full construction company out of there. Yeah. Doing residential remodeling.
Yeah.
Which is what we do. But
do you still have hubcaps in there?
No, we got rid of those.
Okay, I was like, I've been in there. There was a lot.
Yeah. When we got it, there was at least a handful. But No, we painted it. We added some LED lighting, and we moved in. I'm sure it's like the original carpet from the 70s.
Yeah.
We just threw rugs on top. We're like, we just threw rugs on top.
Yeah.
And we lived there. But yeah, so fun story. We were doing that. So we had this whole construction company that we were growing, and then we wanted to have this project kick off and be this sort of community builder concept and a passion project for us. Then and this was right after I had sort of finished my MBA, and which was I kind of was doing it at the same time. But my husband and I found out we were pregnant in the middle of the project, like 3 months into construction of House 11, and we're like, uh-oh, this is going to be a lot. So we probably need to pick and choose where our energy goes. And so we downscaled our construction business, and now we're just focused on the cafe and the bar and the venue space and the baby. And I still have my full-time job. Yeah. So,
I mean, these are like all the heavy hitters of the difficult things in life. You're like having a baby. Are you super far out of getting your MBA? Like, you've been in school like, when did you get your MBA?
So, it was like, I don't even know what year it is.
Okay, yeah.
No, 2023.
Okay, so yeah, like pretty recently.
Yeah.
You were like in school, which is also hard, and like doing construction is hard, and opening a business is hard.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the baby was a whole thing.
Yeah.
It still is a whole thing.
I feel like that's like like a good quote about parenting. The baby is a whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What's funny is, like, I'm an engineer, planner, project manager, like designer. I do all of these things, and like I feel like I'm pretty good at scheduling and organization. And the baby came, and I was like, I realize you can't do anything at the same time as having a baby.
Yeah.
Even now I'm like, I need to respond to a text message, and then the baby's like trying to snatch my phone out of my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're trying to do no screens with him, so I'm like, I gotta hide the phone.
Yeah, everything is like a big challenge. It's like just a big stack of challenges.
It was not probably how I would have planned it, but it's how it happened.
Yeah.
And it's we're alive.
Yeah. Okay, so then you do have your office. So is that convenient that you're like close to the cafe during the day, or are you still at a full-time job during the day?
I am still at my full-time job,
okay.
And I just do cafe bar stuff.
Okay. And then Caleb works
he works there, and my sister works there, and I'm kind of doing like after-hour support in the marketing and sort of the business planning and the development and staffing and
those are a lot of things.
Yeah, they're a lot.
Yeah.
and asking other people to help.
Yeah.
That's the main job.
Yeah.
It's getting folks to help. like, can you help me?
Yeah.
We're drowning. I need a babysitter.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Well, even as far as staffing, is that something like, because you were doing construction, but were you doing, that's kind of a different staffing situation. Like, you might have subcontractors or something, but it's not the same as having a staff. Like, was this the first time you were kind of managing people in the way of, like, the cafe? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is in sort of this industry, kind of, to this capacity, for sure. When we had the construction company, we were unique in that we had a pretty strong team that was like in-house.
Yeah.
And when we downsized, everybody had to go get other jobs and pursue other opportunities, which actually worked out for a lot of folks because they got better opportunities that I was like, you could do better than us.
Yeah.
But whenever we downsized the construction, that was an interesting situation because we did have a really close team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of folks that weren't like educated formally or had background or expertise in construction or administration, any of that. So it was kind of like we were bringing people together, training them in this very specific thing. And, I think that sort of translates, and we can find people. Are they willing to learn? In construction, you have a lot of your labor is skilled, right? And those are kind of harder to find, and to develop as well. It takes a lot of like sweat and tears and blood to get good at being like a master carpenter or a plumber or any of those specialty trades. And I think the amount of like headache and emotional distress that we like had as construction owners or company owners, I think it's different to work in construction versus own a construction company.
Yeah.
Because you have the relationship with your client. You never want to let them down. And you're also relying on a lot of people that it's an industry that's kind of hard to manage, especially residential world. If you're a small company. Usually the bigger companies have a better handle on it. But it's challenging. It's been challenging. I mean, it's always been challenging in the construction workforce to just maintain talent, right? I think hospitality still has that issue. It's hard to find good talent and keep them, and just by the nature of the industry. But I do think to me, it's easier. Because,
I mean, it's a different thing. Yeah,
because your training is a lot shorter cycle, right? Like, to dial in coffee and be nice to customers, it's like almost a natural skill. Versus like learning how to install air conditioning.
Exactly. No, I understand. My family business is construction, so like it's just very different. Well, so that was good. Maybe like that translated some because you're still managing a staff, so that's good. So what was the decision like to go from like, okay, I mean, I guess you already had the kind of the vision for like a community space. Is that kind of how it started? And then when you found the office, you were like, okay, maybe the House 11 could be our community space? Or how'd the decision go to like make a House 11 what it is once you were like, it won't be our office?
So we thought about it and was like, well, what is going to drive people to this neighborhood? And as a Crestwood resident, I want my own coffee shop that I just, like feels more cozy. And like, I don't know. I miss Woodlawn Cycle Cafe.
Yeah, every coffee shop has its own. I mean, ideally, you have your own like personality and feeling, you know. So yeah.
And I think there was a lot of just like, I don't know. You think, if you ask me how long this took to develop, it probably took like my whole entire lifetime to think about all these things, and they're culminated into this concept. But Caleb was like, I want to do coffee. I'm like, okay. I don't know if we can afford to do coffee. And it just be coffee. Because we got bills to pay and a child on the way. All these things. And then we were like, well, a bar would be great. And then it's also like, that sounds stressful. That's a lot. But it was funny because we were thinking about it as a consumer and as a resident, and like, what do I want? Like, as a person and a resident of Birmingham and a part of the community, and we're just like, I feel like this is a good idea. And it just simmered and simmered and grew and grew, and then we're like, well, it's now or never. So it was kind of fast. I mean, we had been talking about it, but I'm like, this is the time. I guess this is the opportunity. It kind of fell into her hands and forced her hand, but it's been something that we've been dreaming about in different capacities between me and my sister and me and my husband, and really trying to figure out how do we bring true like impact.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of like energy, but we're trying to figure out how do you see something and feel something that's like actually happening.
Yeah. Well, what has that been like? So, kind of when did you open, and then what is like? Have you seen? Like, it seems like you have a lot of really good Google reviews. Your social media is really good. When I've been there, it's been kind of like packed. So, was that like immediate, or did you feel like, did you just have a few people who were evangelists for you, or like how's that been going?
It's been great. I mean, I think that it can always be better. We opened like 3 days before my birthday, and I was just like forced it. I was like, I think we went to like a funeral the day before, basically, and like we got back late that night, and this was out of town, and like we got to stop at Office Depot so I could print out a open for coffee sign, so people know we're open. Yeah, and you know, that night made the menu and printed it out, and probably made my POS people really mad that they had to set up this menu like in 15 minutes or something that day. But yeah, we've been open for what, 2 months now? Okay. In 5 days. Yeah. We've been getting a lot of really good feedback. I think we have like 40 5-star reviews, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I was impressed, like really impressed. I think one of them also described like your aesthetic. What does it say? Like your aesthetic as being photo ready, which it does seem like you guys were very intentional with the design. So it seems like, you know, Instagrammable, like social media friendly, if that makes sense. Which seems like maybe it does encourage people to like post it and review you guys, but it seems like it's doing well as far as that goes. Like, what's that intentional?
In terms of the social media stuff, from a design, like an interior design perspective, that was not in my mind. Yeah. I don't use, like, when Kim uses social media, like personally, or just like what comes to mind, I'm always like, oh, cool place. I'm not like, how do I make my place Instagrammable? Yeah. Which, that's my engineering brain, not my marketing brain. Yeah. Yeah. So, I think for me, the marketing part of my brain was like, okay, and this was, I guess, less of a marketing part, but like, how do we build the concept that we wanted? And we wanted it to be this destination because it's in Woodlawn, which a lot of people are scared of. And if you're not familiar with Woodlawn, you'd be like, why is this here? And we were like, okay, we just want to blow people's mind. Yeah. Because you go over there and you're like, there's nothing around, and then you go in this house and you're like, this is crazy. Yeah. That was the concept. And the lounge rooms, I don't know if this, I'm like into interior design casually. I don't call myself an interior designer or anything, but hobbyist, I guess enthusiast. Now I feel like I'm a professional, but I'm not. If you put a timeline or schedule on me, I'll get stressed. But I mean, I can handle it. I don't know if I love that. So the rooms were inspired by Blue Monkey back in the day, the lounge. You've ever been over there? Yeah. So we loved Blue Monkey back whenever, like 100 years ago. But we liked the like lounge feel and the dark academia sort of vibes. Kind of exploring how do we make this like library, but like night at the museum, like National Treasure situation. And we also had, we're very fortunate. We went to UAB and met a ton of friends that are from all over the place, the world, like Latin America, Ecuador, Colombia, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Spain, Germany, like Canada, all these places. And had got to visit some friends and just like got inspired by different places. And I think there was a desire to, how do we make this place where it's like, how do you create that feeling of like leaving town? Yeah. And, you know, like I'm not in Birmingham anymore, but we don't have to leave town because we're business owners and we can't leave town.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we wanted from a self-interest standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think I make a lot of people mad when I say this, but I got like most things from Facebook Marketplace. And some of the
why is that bad?
I don't know, people are like, I can't believe there's nothing good on Facebook because you get it all.
Yeah.
Well, I was pregnant and all I could do is just sit on Facebook and message people.
I think it's more like a treasure hunt. Like if you just go there thinking today I will find something cool, like I don't think that works, but yeah.
So yeah, a lot of it was organic. Like I wasn't like envisioning anything. I was just like, this room's gonna be, I just had a lot of colors I liked.
Yeah.
And then I narrowed it down and I was like, these are gonna be this like moody, loungy vibes for cocktails.
Yeah.
And like chilling.
Yeah.
And that was all that was in my mind.
Yeah.
And then I filled it with space. But then the back, we had to rebuild the whole back of the house, which was not planned.
Yeah.
This is why we got out of the construction business.
Yeah.
We're like, you open a wall and you're like, oh, this floor isn't structurally sound, and we got to tear this whole house down and rebuild it.
Yeah.
So we did that, and so the back half of the house, if you can't tell, it's like front of the house is from 1900, the back of the house is from like 2025.
Yeah.
So and there's these like natural, there was an arch already there on like I guess the second door when you go in the front door, but then there's this arch that I think everybody kind of likes to post about, but that's one that I came back and I was like, Caleb, can you make an arch
Yeah.
to match the other arch?
Yeah.
And we try to make it this, there were some places in like Puerto Rico and Miami and I don't know, different places we've been to that sort of inspired the aesthetic in the back. We wanted to feel like you're going on vacation somewhere, like Tulum. But I don't like to use, I feel like Tulum's gotten oversaturated with the influencers. But 25 years ago, Tulum, when it was still like, people intense. But yeah, there was a desire to make something nice that people could enjoy from the neighborhood and just feel like this is way too nice for this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like even Crestwood, it's like, let's come over here. Like we wanted it to be something that attracted people from all over like the Southeast and make it feel really tropical and jungle vibes.
So we're actually running up on time because you've done so many things. But I kind of want you to tell people, like, how can they, like, I think as we're recording, you guys haven't added cocktails yet, but when this is live, you should have cocktails and stuff, right? So can you talk a little bit about that and, like, also what it's like to rent the event space? Because I think it's great for people to come for coffee, and that's pretty easy to, like, know what to do. But if somebody's thinking, like, I want this for a party or for business meetings or for whatever, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so I'll touch on the event space first. It depends on the event. If it's hey, let me host this thing and you don't have to shut it down and, we'll just show up with a bunch of people.
Yeah, we'll be in the back.
Yeah.
Because there's a big backyard, too.
If you don't need us to, like, reserve a space, then we just... Is it open?
Just
okay,
come.
it's open.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
come. We'll put it on our calendar. We'll just make sure there's no issues. And, just make sure, just call us.
Yeah.
But really, I don't think we have a phone number right now yet. So email us or Instagram.
Yeah.
It's kind of our points of contact right now. We're kind of shielding people from contacting us through phone because I don't know what age we're in, but it's like spam city.
Yeah, I was like, once you have a phone for your business, you get like 10 calls an hour for people saying like they'll help you with your Google listing, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like I just want a customer. Yeah.
Yeah. So once we like figure out how to budget that in, we'll get somebody to help us with that. But
email and DMs is good. Yeah.
And if you have an idea of what your event is, how many people, what day, what time frame, those are all factors. So I don't have like a standard pricing because it really just
but like, then it's available either way. Like if you wanted to throw a birthday party in the backyard, but the coffee shop can still be open, that's one thing. Or if you were like, I want this to be my wedding and I want to shut the whole thing down, you still do that. It's just a different price point. Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, so it's because people have all different ideas and things they want. And it's like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's
we also rent by the room, so it's like those lounge rooms during the day. If you wanted to podcast there, you just rent it by the hour, and we can do coffee and pastries, and you can have it. You can that's the same for pretty much the whole thing. So, just let us know what you need, and we can figure it out. Part of it is, we haven't been open for our bar program yet, which we're about to open, and. Understanding like what does revenue look like there, and what is the community wanting? Like, are all of our neighbors going to be mad if we shut this down for a private event? And what is the cost of that?
Exactly.
So that's part of the conversation.
So are the cocktails going to be mostly just for events, or is it like there will be a cocktail bar? Are you going to open? I don't know how late you guys are open now. So is that...
So right now. Before podcast release, we're open coffee hours, so it's like 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the week, and then Saturday it's 8 to 4, and Sunday is 8 to 3. But we're still trying to figure out what we want the cocktail hours to be. It's not going to be like a super late night spot. Maybe 10, 11, midnight on the weekends, or special events. So that's kind of what we're thinking.
So just check Google. Are you guys updating those?
We are. On Instagram and Google, we're kind of playing it by ear to see what we can bear. We want to be open all the time, but
well, you've kind of addressed that. It's like you have a baby, a business, a job.
We're growing it organically, and that's one of the things that I do want people to know is like, I've had this idea of what I want it to be, but also we're showcasing local talent, and we're it's called House 11 because I didn't want it to be a bar or a cafe or I wanted it to be adaptable, and it really be an experience and a place where people can connect and feel comfortable and be themselves, and really create a culture that I feel like exists, but it's not like prolific. Like I don't know if a lot of people feel this or not. I feel like people do, but I think Birmingham still has a long way to go in America, and a lot of what we're seeing in the environment in terms of inclusivity and just people breaking down barriers, like geopolitically and socially and all of these things. And we were just like, this is going to be the perfect opportunity to just, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you do. This is supposed to be a place that we can all just hang out and connect.
That's awesome. And then that's the beautiful part of it. And then the 11 comes from being on Route 11. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
it just sounds cool. And then I was like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. We're engineers, so we're not super creative. We're just like...
I named my coffee shop Church Street Coffee and Books because it's on Church Street, so you know.
Blue House property.
Yeah. It's actually really convenient to have the address in the name.
Yeah. No, we did think about that, but then Caleb's uncle is also a marketing person. He's like, people are going to get all confused with the numbers. And
no, I think a House 11 is like a good... You still get that that good feeling of what you're trying to provide, but it is a kind of a nod to where you are too. So I don't know. If you want my opinion, I think it works.
Yeah. No, and I don't know if you're an astrology person or if people are out in the world, but if you look up the 11th house, this was after the fact we realized it was the house of friendship and community and
oh, that's cool.
If you Google or chat GPT the 11th house, it's kind of symbolic and interesting and coincidental, but that's the story.
That's awesome. All right, so people should interact with you guys by following you on Instagram, but mostly just by coming by. Is that right?
Yeah. And I don't think I answered your bar question.
Oh, yeah. Like, let's talk about the bar. Yeah.
So the bar, I mean, I you'll figure out the hours and let you know.
Yeah.
We're, like, always posting.
Yeah. Well, I think in general, it's kind of nice to just check, like, an Instagram or check, like, that, Google business profile before I go somewhere to be like, oh, yeah, when are they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
we are planning to do some soft openings very soon, and our grand opening, and I haven't nailed this down because I just came back from a family vacation.
Yeah.
That was overdue, which I think we still worked on. But we're planning to do a grand opening first week of June.
Okay.
But the bar program, we're actually partnering with a friend of mine who is well respected in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb and I are engineers and builders, but we also are honest and like, this is new to us. We're just doing this because we thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And we need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But we're going to lean on the experts in the world. Jesus Mendez.
Yeah, he is. I was like, is it Chuy? Because he was on the podcast, and I noticed like he kept posting. He's like a collaborator on a lot of your posts, so I was like, he does like so many things. So
I know.
like, yeah.
He's like crazy.
But I mean I feel like that's awesome. Like you couldn't get. I feel like all of your kind of like coffee mentor and cocktail mentors are like couldn't get better people. Really.
Yeah, we're very lucky. I mean, that's one super awesome thing about Birmingham. It's a small town, and the word travels fast, and people are willing to help. And Chuy, I asked him if he wanted to be a partner, and he was like, I'm busy. Yeah. I'm like, sure.
Well, once I started researching him, it was like a deep dive. I was like, wow, he owns like more than I thought,
Yeah, he's like a weirdo like we are.
Yeah.
We don't like sleeping.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm really excited for that. And I'm sure, like, again, hopefully, like, we're kind of, I don't know, this is like casting into the future. So, like, we're talking now, but by the time people hear it, this is probably already available. So you can go and experience it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. We're actually training right now. We've already trained if we're talking about, But no, we're training right now on our signature cocktails, and we're pretty excited about it because our friends just opened Bygones. Okay. Right? So we were like kind of like secretly racing them to see if they could open. But they've been working on their project a lot longer than we have. So we're so proud of them and excited so that we can escape our place and go to their place and hopefully vice versa.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, we're really excited. There's going to be some coffee leaning signature drinks.
Oh, that's cool.
Our espresso martini may or may not be the best ever.
So this is good. It's like laying the gauntlet down, so people should come and try it and like see if they agree. So
yeah, you can challenge us. It's okay. It's everything's subjective.
Well, the way I would think of it as a business owner, I'm like, yeah, come and challenge us. That means you're buying the drink from me. So
No, we're just trying to promote just the passion and the the enthusiast, and I think that it's interesting how we're doing it's kind of just like getting people to be excited and like share notes and like see how you can be better and better, and we're all helping each other, and it's educating the community, it's educating our consumers, it's like elevating the standard. And Birmingham, I think of Birmingham as a foodie town, and I've traveled a good bit for work and things, but I'm hoping that we are one of those places that you go to when you visit. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Like, this has been fun to hear the journey, and also now I feel less stressed just knowing how stressful your life is in comparison. I'm just kidding. But really, thank you so much for coming on. And
no, I appreciate it. No, I'm also going to feel less stressed soon.
Yeah.
When the bar opens.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. The Localist podcast is written by me, Carrie Rollwagen, and we are produced here at Infomedia Studios. So if you're interested in doing your own podcast, having us shoot some photo, video for your website, or even coming into the studio for some social media clips, we would love to help. Head to infomedia.com and fill out our contact form. Let us know what you need, and we'll let you know if we can help you out. You can find show notes about this week's topic at carrierollwagen.com, and you can find me pretty much anywhere on social media at crollwagen. Our showrunner is Taylor Davis, Jen Tucker is our outreach manager, and Elena Harmond is our promotions manager. So until next time, here's to thinking global by acting local and putting small shops before big box.